guys, what's up? Today I'll be talking about the comic book documentary Superheroes: A Never-Ending Battle. This was shown on PBS over here in New York City, which is channel 13 here. Special feature-wise, more superheroes themes performed by songwriter Jack Albert. Um, it's theme song from the older Marvel cartoon series. Remember those catchy theme songs back in the days, or in my case when they rebroadcast them. Additional interviews with Adam West, Stan Lee, Joe Simon, Leonard Carter, Jerry Robinson, and more. Interviews have been edited out for this documentary. This documentary is 3 parts. It was hosted by Love Schreiber, one of my favorite actors. He played. You might recognize him as playing the younger Wolverine. The younger Sabretooth in the Wolverine origin movie. Um, and I like how they set it up. It's like I said, it's 3 part documentary. It's not like all together. It's separated, so you can select the ones you want. And this is a documentary about comic books from the Silver Age, Bronze Age, Golden Age, and even in today's era, how comic books changed the lives of people, old and new, and the upcoming generation, of course, for after us people, and people being interviewed from actors, writers, of course, um, artists, people who's like involved in the comic book industry or how comic books influenced them. It talks about Superman, Batman, and other characters too, like the Shadow, and you see some old school characters too. And there also some villains, like how you have need the rival villains for superheroes also. How comic books, how they need to be out, they shove in the comic book format to other media outlet platforms like video games, TV serials, radio shows. Back in the older days, they had like radio shows hosting these comic book characters to introduce them for for the radio audience back in the heydays before television. You know, um, how merchandise, excuse me. It also talks about how comics affected people from World War II. How there was a character they developed Captain America to give hope to America. Like the soldiers in World War II, for example. They even a scene when how Stanley talked about how they how they brought back Captain America once more. Um, because they were comic characters. They keep on coming up with the same old characters, but they need to come out with some new characters too. New superheroes also. So I don't want to ruin too much, but it's like so much. This documentary was so informative, so much information. Excuse me. I try to say informative, but my speech is horrible, so I apologize. But you know what I mean. This document has so much information, and there've been other comic book documentaries also. They've been good ones too. They even talk about the comic book code, of course. How it's kind of like fuck about enjoyment. You know what I mean, people. You know. They would talk about controversial issues like the famous Green Arrow Green Lantern drug case. The drug issue with Speed on drugs, or how they showcased it in Spider-Man. And the approved comic code. They don't want them to showcase not to use the word drugs, but Stanley and he talked to somebody else about releasing it anyway, but without the comic book code. So it was kind of cool to know about that. That's something I didn't even knew. They're also one of the artists who used like pop culture art in his comic books, which he showcased in Nick Fury and The Shield. And yeah, Andy Warhol is also mentioned in this documentary because of his pop culture art and how comic book influenced him also, which is kind of cool to see that too. Yeah, Andy Warhol is like one of my favorite celebrities out there back in the heydays, man. Crazy motherfucker, you could just tell, you know. Uh, it also talks about the old school era, like I just mentioned, how comic book artists working like these bullpens. So I love watching I love watching stuff from the old school era. I love the vintage stuff. If it's comic books or if not comic book, I just love old school era stuff too, man. I love vintage. I just love it. So it's good to see like photographs and the older artists talk about their experience working the comic book entertainment industry back in the heydays. Good to see people talk about Bob Kane, of course. Creator of Batman. It also talks about the two creators of Superman, how when the Superman movie came about, and these comic book artists came together, and they want to help the original creators of Superman to get money in return, like pension, to give credit that they deserve. And it was good to know that because it was like so much respect right there. And I was shocked that one of the Superman creator was actually working in a mailroom after, I guess, when he had left the comic book industry. I guess he was working in the mail department, and I was like, whoa, that was crazy because you would never think that. And as a guy like me, I work in mailroom, and I know how that feels, man. I was like, damn, you work in mailroom? I work in mailroom too, It's like kind of weird, just to see that because you would never think, And it's just so much stuff. Oh, you also got Todd McFarlane, of course, and Jim Lee, of course, in this documentary in the second part, when you see them talk about how they work for Marvel Comic Books. Of course, we all know the history of that when they left Marvel, and they have like a group of younger artists work together to form Image Comics, So I always love to watch Todd McFarlane's interview because they're always like so interested. He gets down to the point. I like his style. Um, they would talk about the horror comic book era. Like I said, I mentioned about the Proof comic book code. They talk a little bit about the horror comic book era, the noir, the suspense comic book, crime comic books like era. And there's also another documentary DVD movie when they talk about the comic book horror era, which is like a big documentary on it. So it's on Netflix, that I know. So check it out. Just Google it. But they also mentioned Wonder Woman, about the feminist era, how how they want like strong women, like pretty much like strong women in comic books. They look up to Wonder Woman in a way because she's a strong female, which kind of have an impact to this day. Um, it's so much, man. It's so much more to this documentary. It's very wonderful. But anyway, guys, all that I can say is check this out. The superheroes have never ended battle. You will not get disappointed. It's definitely worth your time and your money. And anyway, peace, guys. See you later.